The training grounds are still, so still it feels like the world itself is holding its breath. Syria's gaze lingers on the spot where Ian should be. Empty. Silent. A cold dread coils in her chest. Did something happen to him? Did he really risk everything, for me? The thought stings more than she expects. Guilt, fear, and something unspoken twist together until her mind drifts back, far back, to a memory she's tried to bury. A small girl. Fragile. Her bright blue eyes wide with confusion as cruel laughter echoes through the courtyard. Look! It's the orphan. Two older girls sneer down at her, voices dripping with mockery. No mother to cry to. No one to protect her. Her little hands clench, trembling, not with fear, but with a fury that burns too hot for her small frame to hold. These bastards. The scene fades. She's no longer that child, but the rage still hums beneath her skin. Her grip tightens on her sword until her knuckles turn white. She forces herself to breathe, to stay calm, but their words keep needling her. They're really pissing me off, she mutters under her breath, jaw tight. But she knows there's nothing she can do. Not yet. Across the grounds, two girls from Lupin's crew watch her like vultures. One snickers, asking if Syria's angry. The other points out the look in her eyes, sharp, defiant, like it's all some cheap form of entertainment. The taunts don't stop. Every word cuts deeper, twisting into the one wound that's never healed, her mother, her past. Syria stands still, enduring every insult with that same quiet, unshakable sadness. And then, a voice breaks through. Enough! The word slices through the air like a blade. Ian steps forward, a faint golden light wrapping around him. His face is calm, but his eyes, those eyes burn. He grabs one of the girls by the shoulder, his grip unyielding, his voice low and dangerous. Leave her alone. Or you'll end up just like your friends, broken. The confidence drains from their faces instantly. The mockery, the arrogance, gone. They stammer excuses, claiming it's all a misunderstanding. Ian doesn't flinch. He looks at them with that same cold, purple glow in his eyes, a silent reminder of what happened last time. Ian Perkis. The name alone makes them pale. Images flash in their minds, Lupin and his team, beaten and bandaged, eyes glazed with that same haunting light. The memory alone is enough to make their legs shake. Syria watches quietly as a small crowd gathers around. Ian's gaze flicks toward them, sharp as a blade. This isn't a show, he snaps. The crowd scatters instantly. Then he turns back to her. Even with the bandages across his face, his expression is steady, sincere. Syria Yadina, he says simply. The two trembling girls bow low, their voices shaking as they choke out their apology. They promise they'll never lay a hand, or a word, on her again. Lupin and his crew stand stiffly, the bruises from their last clash with Ian still fresh. One by one, they bow their heads, their movements mechanical, forced. It's a show of submission, not respect. Syria watches in silence. Her expression gives nothing away. Her sharp blue eyes settle on Lupin. Calmly, she tells him, "You could have apologized another time. There was no need to make this a spectacle." Lupin just smirks. That dangerous glint flickers in his red eyes again. "There's a reason for all this drama," he murmurs, leaning closer so only she can hear. His tone is cool, almost amused. "If we apologized quietly," he explains, "people would think we're weak. But this way..." He gestures around them, the onlookers still whispering. "Everyone sees that lunatic, Ian, as the one who pushed us down. It looks like we were forced into it. It's a clean defeat. No shame attached." He straightens, arrogance returning with a lazy grin. "Don't get me wrong," he says. "I still don't like you. You're rude." Then his voice drops again, sharper this time. "But what really gets under my skin is that you're stronger than me. And you've got people backing you." The resentment in his words is thick, but behind it, there's calculation. He gives her a knowing look. Power's important, sure. But finding the right allies? That's what really keeps you alive. It's less advice, more a warning. Then he turns, resting a hand on Ian's shoulder just as he passes out of view. "Oh, and Syria," he says with that smirk still in place. "Make sure you tell Ian about all this, won't you?" It's subtle, but the message is clear, a reminder to keep that unpredictable monster close. Syria watches him walk away, thoughtful. For the first time, she admits to herself, Lupin is smarter than she gave him credit for. Her blue eyes widen slightly as the realization sinks in. A quiet breath escapes her lips, half in surprise, half in reluctant acknowledgement. Behind her, the two girls are still bowing low, their voices trembling as they repeat their apology. Each word drips with fear. They swear, again and again, they'll never touch her or speak of her family again. Syria exhales softly. There's a trace of satisfaction in her eyes, but it's weighed down by exhaustion. If it were just me, she thinks, I probably would have just taken it. Her hand tightens on her sword. Her eyes harden. But I can't keep relying on him. Standing tall, she makes a quiet vow to herself. Next time, she thinks, I'll handle it on my own. The scene shifts. Inside the temple, the door to Ian's room bursts open. The saintess strides in, a bright smile on her face. Mr. Time, Ian, she calls, stepping forward with a mix of warmth and irritation. Do you enjoy getting hurt, or what? Ian blinks, caught off guard. He starts to deflect, but she cuts him off before he can speak. Her tone turns firm. More importantly, she says, I heard you beat up 8 people yesterday. Ian hesitates, trying to explain, but his voice falters. The saintess sighs, pinching the bridge of her nose. I helped smooth things over, she says. But if I hadn't stepped in, the Rinella family would have made a huge mess out of it. The saintess's smile fades as her words grow heavy. If I hadn't stepped in, she says, the Rinella family would have made quite the scene. You really shouldn't make enemies like that, Ian. Her warning lands hard. Ian blinks, his expression tightening. The Rinellas, he repeats, disbelief written across his face. She nods, eyes serious. Count Rinella wasn't pleased. At all. Ian sits back on the edge of the bed, a fresh bandage running across his nose. Of course, it had to be them. Lupin may have bowed today, but Ian knows him too well. That man doesn't forget humiliation. He'll smile in public, and strike in private. A cold realization hits. What if they go after my family? Panic claws at the edges of his mind as he runs a hand through his hair. He tries to calm himself, whispering that he already explained everything to the saintess, that she'll handle it. But the worry refuses to fade. The saintess softens, a gentle smile tugging at her lips. Relax, she says quietly. Didn't I tell you? I'm on your side. Always. Before he can thank her, she adds almost playfully. Oh, and you still owe me for that favor last time. Ian frowns. Favor? What favor? Her eyes glint with mystery. You wouldn't remember. Then, almost teasingly, she says, it's nothing major, don't worry about it, Emmanuel. The name hits him like a slap. Emmanuel, he echoes, confused. He sits up straighter. Who's that supposed to be? But she only smiles and turns away, leaving the question hanging in the air. Ian sinks back into the bed, muttering, damned evil spirit. His missing memories, his blank week, continue to haunt him. What exactly did that thing do in his body? And why does the saintess treat him like an old acquaintance? An uneasy silence fills the room. He pictures her again, not as she is now, but as a being of radiant light, powerful beyond comprehension. Someone like that wouldn't help just anyone. So what kind of favor could he possibly have done for her? His thoughts are cut short when the door bursts open with a bang. Ian. Celine rushes in, eyes wide, worry written all over her face. She doesn't hesitate, just throws her arms around him. I heard what happened. Did you really beat up Teen and his gang? Ian stiffens, caught completely off guard. Celine, hey, why do you always jump on me like this? She pulls back, pouting in frustration. Because I'm worried, you idiot, she huffs. You're always getting hurt. And it's always for her. Her voice trembles slightly. Why do you care about Syria so much? The question hangs between them, heavy, raw. Ian looks at her, a small, tired smile softening his face. It's not like that, he says quietly. I'd have done the same for you. I promised, remember? I'll protect you, too. The anger fades from her eyes, replaced by something gentler, hope, maybe. So, you remember, she whispers. His smile brightens. Of course I do. How could I ever forget? He doesn't notice the way her heart catches at his words. To him, it's simple, a promise between friends. But to her, it means everything. The scene fades into memory. Years ago, a small, dimly lit room. A frail man lies in bed, breathing shallowly. Celine's uncle. And standing beside him, 2 children, hand in hand. Ian's voice echoes softly in the background. Long ago, corruption ran deep among the nobles. They schemed in the shadows, seizing land that wasn't theirs, and when Celine's family stood in their way, her uncle paid the price. The memory burns like an old scar. A young Celine sits alone in a quiet garden, knees pulled to her chest, her small shoulders trembling as she cries. The flowers around her sway in the wind, silent witnesses to her grief. And standing a few steps away, a young Ian. His eyes are soft, but his voice is steady. That day, seeing his best friend broken and alone, he made a promise. He swore he'd protect her, no matter what it cost. Celine. Her small voice cracks as she looks up at him, eyes red from tears. He simply smiles. A quiet, determined smile. The memory fades. Back in the present, Ian rests a gentle hand on her head. Don't worry, he says softly. I'll always protect you. But then, without thinking, he adds. You're like a little sister to me. The air freezes. Celine's smile vanishes instantly. Her brows knit together, eyes flashing with disbelief. Little sister, she repeats, her voice trembling, not with sadness, but fury. Before he can react. Wham! Her heel slams down on his foot. Ian yelps in pain, stumbling back. Why did you have to ruin the moment? She shouts, face flushed with anger. Do you enjoy saying things like that? Ian blinks, clutching his foot, completely lost. What did I even do? Forget it, she snaps, crossing her arms. There's no point explaining anything to an idiot like you. She turns away with a huff, trying to hide the heat in her cheeks. Then, after a deep breath, her expression hardens. They still have bigger problems to deal with, serious problems. If they can solve that, she thinks, maybe then Ian will stop worrying about another girl. Later, the two sit together, discussing the growing tension. Celine's voice is steady but serious. People have always talked behind Syria's back, she says. But now they are doing it to her face. It's different this time. She pauses. And it's not just petty students anymore. High-ranking nobles are getting involved. Ones with real influence. Ian nods slowly. Leto said something similar, he recalls. But this doesn't feel random. Someone's pushing it from behind the scenes. He leans forward, thinking aloud. It's not just personal grudges. There's coordination here. A plan. His eyes sharpen, that faint glow flickering within them as the puzzle takes shape. Teen's crew was being manipulated. That much is obvious, he mutters. So who benefits from all this? He rules out the fourth years immediately. They've got no reason to target the Yordina family. Then, something clicks. A face flashes in his mind. Green hair. A sly smile. That strange, glowing aura. He looks up just as Leto appears in the hallway. Leto, he calls, I need you to look into something. You've got the connections. Leto nods without hesitation. Leave it to me. As his friend walks off, Ian's thoughts race. A high-ranking noble, pulling strings from behind the curtain. It all fits. The flashbacks come in fragments, Teen's confession, the terrified look in that student's eyes, the smirk of the green-haired girl. It has to be her. A calm, cold certainty settles over him. Now all that's left is to find the mastermind. The scene shifts. The grand hall of the temple stands silent. Sunlight filters through tall windows, scattering golden light across the marble floor. Ian steps out of the infirmary, the familiar weight of his uniform pressing against his shoulders. But this time, something feels different. The stillness carries a quiet loneliness. No chatter. No footsteps. Just the echo of his own. As he walks, he glances toward the light streaming through the windows. Has it always felt this empty? He wonders. Or did everything that's happened change the way he sees the world? His golden eyes drift upward, reflecting the light, tired yet resolute. Ian's golden eyes suddenly widen. A familiar figure stands in the distance, fiery red hair catching the light like a flame. A soft breath escapes his lips. Emma's father. The man approaches slowly, stopping a few steps away before bowing deeply. Ian immediately waves his hands, flustered. There's no need for that, he says quickly. For a moment, neither speaks. Only a quiet, heavy understanding passes between them. Then Ian's expression softens. How is she doing? He asks carefully. The older man's face darkens, his eyes filled with grief. The temple can keep her alive, he says quietly, voice trembling. But that's all they can do. His hands curl into fists, knuckles white as he struggles to hold back tears. I can't do anything. I'm her father, and I can't do anything. Ian steps forward, his tone firm and unwavering. Please don't talk like that, he says. A miracle will happen. I know it will. The man takes a deep breath, trying to steady himself. Then, forcing a faint smile, he changes the subject. I heard you were the one who dealt with the beast that attacked Emma, he says, his voice thick with emotion. I don't know how I could ever repay you. Ian shakes his head immediately. It's not like that, he replies. The beast attacked first. I only fought back. That's all. The man looks at him in surprise. Then, realizing his mistake, he bows his head again. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have spoken without thinking. Ian gives him a gentle smile. It's fine. Really, he says. Don't worry about it. But the older man insists, his voice breaking slightly. No, I mean it. You have my gratitude. He exhales deeply, exhaustion settling into his features. I should go, he murmurs, turning to leave. Ian watches him go, the weight of their conversation lingering in the still air. Then his expression hardens. His fist clenches at his side. No matter what it takes, he vows silently, I'll save Emma. The scene shifts. The campus clock tower rises against a soft twilight sky. White petals drift through the air, glowing faintly in the evening light. It's peaceful, almost too peaceful. Ian walks alone through the quiet grounds, his mind already elsewhere. Leto should have something by now, he thinks. A flash of his friend's grinning face appears in his mind, Leto teasing him for a proper reward. Ian can't help but smirk. He knows that if anyone can dig up the truth behind the rumors, it's Leto. As he rounds the corner toward the training grounds, a faint hum of energy reaches him. His eyes lift, and there she is. Syria. Her silver hair rippling with every movement, bright blue energy spiraling around her. The glow of her magic flares and folds in perfect rhythm, sharp and controlled. He slows, watching in quiet awe. Her aura, it's more stable than before. His eyes narrow slightly, studying her every motion. Each strike, each stance, it's precise, refined, confident. A soft gasp escapes him. Wait, he mutters under his breath. How did I ever manage to beat her before? As if sensing his gaze, Syria turns. Her blue eyes meet his, bright and alive. Hey, she calls, smiling. How have you been? Ian straightens, suddenly awkward. I've been good, he stammers. What about you? Her smile widens, a faint pink coloring her cheeks. Honestly, she says softly. I haven't felt this good in a long time. Syria smiles softly, brushing a strand of silver hair behind her ear. I haven't been doing well at all without you around, she admits, almost in a whisper. The camera lingers on her face, her cheeks tinged pink, her wide blue eyes shimmering with something she can't quite name. A small flutter escapes her chest before she quickly places a hand over her heart, as if trying to calm its rhythm. She tilts her head, smiling playfully. What about you? She asks, her voice light but warm. The moment hangs between them, quiet, close, and unexpectedly intimate. Ian grins. Same as always, he says casually. But his eyes drift to the glowing sword in her hand. That technique you were using just now, he says, it was incredible. What was that? Syria glances down at the blade, the faint golden glow reflecting in her eyes. It's called the Golden Lion Blade, she explains. A secret technique of my family. An image flickers in the background. A golden lion banner rippling in the wind, proud and fierce. It allows me to create multiple slashes at once, she continues. Real and illusionary strikes, overlapping until you can't tell them apart. Once it's mastered, there's almost no way to defend against it. She pauses, a faint smile tugging at her lips. I'm still not that good. I can only manage 3 trails right now. But true masters, they can unleash more than 10 in a single breath. Ian whistles quietly, impressed. That's pretty amazing, he admits. But, isn't it kind of risky showing me something like that? Isn't it supposed to be a family secret? Syria waves a hand, brushing it off. It's fine, she says. With your skills, you couldn't copy it anyway. Then it hits her. Her words. Her eyes widen. I didn't mean it like that, she blurts, flustered. You're already really strong. I wasn't thinking. Ian blinks, then bursts into an easy laugh. Nah, you're not wrong, he says, still chuckling. But when he sees her embarrassed face, he softens. Sorry. I didn't mean to tease. The tension fades as the night air settles around them. The full moon rises high above, bathing the training grounds in silver light. Syria exhales, relieved. It's fine, she says with a small smile. Ian looks at her, quietly thoughtful. He can tell she's changing, learning to care about how her words affect others. It's subtle, but it's there. And it makes him smile. Then her expression turns serious again. I heard what happened yesterday, she says softly. Thank you for handling it. Ian blinks, then gently reaches out and takes her hands. Hey, he says, his voice calm and reassuring, don't worry about it. We help each other when things go wrong. That's what friends do. He looks straight into her eyes, a warm smile lighting his face. We're friends, right? Syria freezes, her blue eyes wide. The words echo in her chest. Friends, she stammers, her cheeks flushed. He nods easily. Of course. So you don't have to be so formal around me all the time, okay? She lowers her head, steam practically rising from her face. His words, simple and honest, hit her harder than any compliment ever could. A quiet warmth blooms in her chest. I guess it's not all bad, she thinks, smiling faintly to herself. Then she lifts her gaze again, the shyness fading into determination. Of course, she says firmly. But I still have to solve my own problems. On my own. Ian blinks, surprised by the sudden shift in her tone. Here? Where's that coming from? He thinks, watching her in mild confusion. She just gives him a small, confident smile. He shrugs, half amused, half unsure, and says lightly, well, just let me know if anything happens, all right? He means it. He trusts her, completely, even if he doesn't fully understand what's changed in her heart. Ian tilts his head slightly, still unsure what she means. He doesn't quite understand. Syria blinks at him, her expression confused. Here? Did I say something? She asks, completely baffled, only realizing too late that she'd spoken her thoughts aloud. Ian chuckles softly, and she quickly clears her throat, trying to recover. Anyway, she says briskly, let's start practice. She steps back, sword in hand. Her aura blooms around her, a brilliant blue light that swirls and pulses like rippling water. Ian watches in silence, his eyes narrowing. Her aura, it's steadier than before. He studies her every movement, the precision of her footwork, the rhythm of her breathing. But then something catches his eye. He leans forward slightly, a deep look of concentration forming on his face. Wait, hold on. There's something different. Something subtle, but unmistakable. He keeps watching as she spins, her sword trailing arcs of light that shimmer in the dim air. Finally, he speaks. Has your aura's color changed? Syria freezes mid-swing, blinking in surprise. She looks down at her sword, the faint glow reflecting across her face. Oh, she says casually, I suppose it has. Ian straightens, his tone suddenly serious. No, that's a big deal. She blinks again, startled by his urgency. It might not look like much, he explains, but I remember your aura. It used to be lighter, almost sky blue. Now it's darker, deeper. He meets her eyes. That kind of change doesn't just happen. Your aura reflects your subconscious. If the color shifted, something inside you changed too. Syria frowns slightly, unsure how to respond. I don't think anything's really changed, she says quietly. I'm the same as before. Ian's gaze softens. Could it be because of your mother? The question lands like a stone in still water. Syria flinches, her eyes flickering downward. For a moment, she forces a small smile. It still stings, she admits softly. But it was a long time ago. He looks at her, unconvinced. All over? He asks quietly. Her expression hardens. Yes, she says firmly. But her voice trembles. A memory unfolds. A grand hall bathed in cold light. A faceless man, her father, stands above her mother, who kneels before him in tears. Voice breaking. Don't take me from my child. Her father's response is sharp, unyielding. Get rid of that wretched woman. Knights move in. There's a flash of steel. And blood splatters across the marble floor. Her mother, wounded and chained, still reaches out for Syria. Run, she gasps. Don't look back. But Syria can't move. She's frozen, paralyzed by fear. If you disobey, her family had warned, you'll be next. The memory burns in her voice as she narrates, detached and hollow. My mother left, and then my sister, Delphine, spoke. A young Syria stands beside her sister, trembling. Delphine's eyes are cold, her tone sharper than a blade. If you can't prove you're useful, she says, you'll end up just like her. Those words carve themselves deep into Syria's heart. Back in the present, Syria lowers her sword, her voice calm but distant. From that moment on, she says, I devoted everything to the sword. I had to prove I was worth keeping. Ian listens quietly, the weight of her words sinking in. Then, softly, he asks. So that's why you want to defeat your sister? To prove you're strong enough to surpass her? Syria turns her gaze away, her eyes distant and thoughtful. At first, I thought that was it, she says. That I just wanted to prove myself. To show everyone I wasn't weak. Her hand drifts to her chest, resting lightly over her heart. But now. Syria straightens her back, her voice steady but filled with quiet conviction. More than anything, she says, I want to prove to myself that I'm not weak. Her words linger in the air like a promise. Then she looks up at Ian, a soft smile curving her lips. But, with you by my side, there's nothing to worry about anyway. The warmth in her tone catches him off guard. I have you with me now, senior, she adds gently. Ian blinks, momentarily speechless. For a heartbeat, he can't find the right words. But hearing the full weight behind her voice, the pain she's carried, the strength it took to say that, something shifts inside him. His resolve hardens. There's no way he can just stand back anymore. A confident smile spreads across his face, his golden eyes gleaming with determination. All right then, he says firmly. If that's how you feel, all you have to do is win the hunting festival. Syria's confident smile vanishes. Her head tilts slightly, confusion written all over her face. Heh, she murmurs, a giant question mark practically floating above her. She imagines facing Delphine, her sister, the strongest in the academy, in a one-on-one match. The thought alone feels impossible. The setting sun paints the training grounds in shades of gold and crimson as Ian steps closer, his voice calm but decisive. The hunting festival's a team competition, he explains. Her eyes widen. A team competition? Ian grins, full of confidence. That's right, he says. So don't worry. We'll figure something out. His voice is bright, full of the unwavering optimism that somehow always feels contagious. Scene shift. A dark chamber, lit only by slivers of moonlight. The mysterious green-haired girl stands beside a shadowed figure, Delphine. Lady Delphine, the girl says smoothly. Syria's confirmed for the festival. Delphine's eyes narrow, her voice cutting through the silence like ice. So, she's actually going through with it. The green-haired girl tilts her head, smiling faintly. The rumors were just an appetizer, Delphine continues coldly. Her eyes glint with cruel intent. Now, it's time to destroy her completely. The next morning. Sunlight filters softly through the trees around the training grounds. Ian exhales, lowering his sword after an intense session. Sweat glints on his skin as he straightens and glances toward Syria. Good work, he says with an easy smile, simple, but genuine. Syria nods, returning the smile. Thank you, she replies softly. For a moment, the tension between them eases into something comfortable, almost peaceful. But as Ian catches his breath, his thoughts begin to drift. Right, the letter. The one from the future. He'd been so wrapped up in Syria's troubles, he'd completely forgotten about it. He should look into it again. Soon. Turning, he starts to leave. I've got something to take care of, he says over his shoulder. But before he can take a single step, a soft hand catches his wrist. Wait, senior. He turns. Syria's cheeks are faintly pink, her gaze flickering away for a moment before she meets his eyes again. Would you like to have breakfast with me? She asks, her voice quiet but hopeful. For a moment, Ian just stares, surprised, and then his lips curl into a smile. He's about to say yes when a teasing voice cuts sharply through the air. Well, if it isn't my useless senior. Ian's smile falters. He doesn't even need to look to know who it is. Celine strolls toward them, her steps confident and deliberate, a smirk playing at the corners of her lips. Training already done? She asks sweetly, her tone dripping with mischief. Ian's brow twitches. Who are you calling useless? He shoots back. The light banter instantly shifts the air between them. Playful, competitive, alive. Celine ignores Syria completely, her gaze locked on Ian as if no one else exists. Syria, still holding her composure, offers a polite, almost forced smile. But her bright blue eyes flick between them, uncertain, curious, and maybe, just a little uneasy. The air grows still for a heartbeat. Syria breaks the silence first, her voice calm but polite. Good morning. Celine doesn't even glance her way. Instead, she flashes Ian a bright smile and says casually. So, you're coming to eat, right? It's not a question, it's a statement. Before Ian can respond, Celine loops her arm through his, pulling him close. We'll go together, she declares confidently, that familiar glint of mischief burning in her eyes. Ian blinks, completely caught off guard. Here? Wait, since when do we ever eat together? He thinks, utterly confused as Celine drags him along. But Celine just keeps walking, a satisfied smile on her face, clearly pleased with herself. Behind them, Syria's hand twitches. A faint blue light flickers around her fingers, her dig magic, sparking to life for a moment before she stops herself. No excuses, she tells herself, her aura pulsing stronger. She's done standing still. Her hand shoots forward, gripping Ian's free arm. He freezes, caught right in the middle as both girls pull in opposite directions. Students passing by slow down to watch, whispering to each other with wide grins. Two male students exchange amused looks. Hey, check that out, one says, nudging the other. The second snickers. This should be good. Celine turns sharply, her eyes narrowing as she recognizes her rival. You're Dina, she says coolly. Then her expression darkens, a flicker of possessiveness flashing through her golden eyes. A crimson aura crackles faintly around her. Do you need something from my Ian? She asks, her tone sharp, almost daring. Ian blinks, bewildered. My Ian? He stares blankly for a second. Did she eat something weird this morning? Syria's expression is cold now, her blue aura steady and sharp. Her gaze meets Celine's head-on. Let go of his arm, she says evenly, voice like ice. Celine smirks, stepping closer. And who do you think you are? She fires back. Her golden eyes burn with challenge. Ian and I are always like this. Always? Ian thinks, sweat dropping. When did that happen? Celine's stare grows harder, resentment gleaming behind her confident grin. Don't get cocky just because you got a little close to him, she thinks bitterly. Her words cut deeper as she continues, you're just a friendless loser. Ian only pays attention to you because he pities you. Ian flinches. Wait, what? I never said anything like that, he blurts out, horrified. But Syria doesn't rise to the bait. Her aura glows brighter, calm and controlled. Her voice is steady when she speaks. Tell me something, Celine, she says coolly. Were you one of the people talking behind my back? Celine jerks back slightly, caught off guard. What? Of course not, she protests quickly. A faint, knowing smirk touches Syria's lips. Oh, she says lightly. Because the way you're showing that ugly inferiority complex, you really could be one of them. The jab lands perfectly, sharp, precise, and merciless. Celine's face twists with anger, her red aura flaring hotter. She glares fiercely. You! Syria doesn't back down. Her expression stays calm, almost defiant. You said Ian only talks to me because I'm pathetic, right? She says evenly. Then fine. I'll stay pathetic. Her voice sharpens, cutting through the tension like a blade. We can be pathetic together, all the time. The challenge is unmistakable. Their auras surge, blue and red clashing violently in the air. The ground trembles faintly beneath them as the pressure builds. Go ahead, Syria says, her tone low, unwavering. Draw your sword. I won't hold back either. For a heartbeat, it feels like they might actually fight. Magic hums between them, the tension so thick it crackles. Then, enough! Ian's voice cuts through the chaos, raw and desperate. Both girls stop, startled. He stands there, face tight with frustration, voice trembling but firm. Both of you, he says, looking from one to the other, just leave me alone for a while. The words hang heavy in the air. Syria and Celine freeze, the fire in their eyes dimming, just for a moment. Neither says a word as Ian turns away, his shoulders tense, walking off into the fading light. The crowd around them disperses slowly, whispering. And the two girls are left standing there, silence stretching between them. Their auras flickering softly, their rivalry far from over. The courtyard is quiet now. Syria and Celine stand there, neither speaking, their auras finally dimmed, but the tension between them still burns just beneath the surface. It's not over. Not by a long shot. Later that day, Ian slumps in a cafe chair, looking absolutely drained. His head rests in his hand as he stares blankly at the cup in front of him. Across the table, Leto raises an eyebrow. So, let me get this straight, he says slowly. You just left them there? Ian groans, dragging a hand down his face. Yeah, he mutters. Syria got all fired up, Celine started saying weird things, and then... I don't know, I just snapped. Leto leans back, lips twitching with amusement. Must be nice though, he teases. Two gorgeous girls fighting over you. Classic problem. Ian shoots him a flat look, his golden eyes narrowing dangerously. Say one more word, he warns, and I swear, I'll knock you out right here. Leto laughs, holding up his hands in mock surrender. All right. Touchy. Ian sighs heavily, rubbing the back of his neck. It's probably complicated for Celine, too, he admits. Having, someone new like Syria show up out of nowhere. Leto blinks, confused. Wait, what do you mean? Ian waves it off, oblivious. Forget it. Leto groans, burying his face in his hands. You're hopeless, he mutters. Completely clueless. Then he straightens, his playful grin returning. Anyway, how's the investigation going? Ian perks up slightly. Right. The green-haired girl. Leto leans forward, elbows on the table. It's moving, he says. But it'll take about a week. I even roped in my ex and my current girlfriend to help track her down. Ian blinks. You what? Leto shrugs. What can I say? I'm persuasive. Ian groans again. A week's too long. We don't have that kind of time. If it were easy, Leto replies dryly, you wouldn't need me to investigate in the first place. Then, as if something clicks, his tone shifts, calmer, almost thoughtful. By the way, he says slowly, I've been meaning to ask you something. He leans in, his green eyes narrowing with curiosity. You think it's possible to receive a letter from the future? Ian blinks at him, exasperated. What's with you today? He says. Why are you suddenly talking about? Then he pauses. A thought flickers across his face. Actually, he says quietly, I should just show you. He reaches into his coat and pulls something out. Look at this, he says, holding it out toward Leto. The panel tightens on Leto's face, his sharp green eye glowing faintly with magical perception. Look at what? He asks, squinting. All he sees is empty air. Ian frowns. This letter, he says seriously. It came from the future. Leto stares blankly. What did you eat today? Ian pushes the invisible paper closer, but Leto's hand passes right through it. There's nothing here, Leto says, frowning. Then, a flicker. A faint shimmer of magic pulses in the air, just for a split second. Leto jerks his hand back, eyes wide. What the? He exclaims. What was that? Ian sits back, calm but serious. I'm not cursed, he explains. This letter, it's how I knew about Emma's accident. And the beast attack. Leto stares at him for a long moment before finally speaking. So, this thing warns you about the future? Ian nods. Exactly. Leto tilts his head. Then did it say anything else? Ian's voice drops, firm. Yes. A powerful beast is going to appear at the hunting festival. Leto waves a hand dismissively. That's normal. There are always powerful beasts there. Ian leans forward, eyes narrowing. No. Not like that. His voice is low, tense. It said a powerful beast will appear at this year's festival. Leto looks confused. Okay, but why are you stressing this year? Ian exhales sharply, frustration rising. The faint magical shimmer flickers again in his hand. He activates his own perception, his golden eyes glowing faintly. But the letter is still invisible to everyone else. Is the information being distorted? He wonders, jaw tightening. He sighs in defeat, lowering the letter. Trying to explain something no one else can even see feels impossible. Leto, now watching him seriously, folds his arms. All right, he says quietly. Let's assume what you're saying is true. Leto leans forward, his expression unusually serious. All right, he says slowly. Let's assume everything you're saying is true. The air between them grows heavier. In that case, Leto continues, eyes narrowing, you've probably experienced some kind of time distortion. A faint magical pattern begins to pulse around Ian, golden symbols flickering through the air. Leto's tone darkens. And that is a disaster. Ian blinks. A disaster? What do you mean? Leto sighs, muttering under his breath, idiot. Then he looks up, his voice low and deliberate. Time-manipulating magic is one of the highest tiers there is. Do you know why? Ian tilts his head. Because it's hard to use? Leto clicks his tongue in irritation. No. Because it breaks the world's natural order. The space around them flickers, an image forming of the letter floating within a fractured, glitching reality. Time, Leto says, isn't meant to be touched. Change even one thread, and everything connected to it begins to unravel. He leans back, his green eyes glowing faintly. Let's take your wolf beast, for example, he says. You said the letter warned you about it, right? Ian nods silently. Then answer this, Leto says, his tone sharp. In the original timeline, the one where you got that letter, how did you defeat it? Ian opens his mouth, but no words come out. Because there was no original victory. Leto's gaze darkens. Exactly, he says grimly. If the beast wasn't defeated in the original future, then the person who wrote that letter could never have sent it. The air around them distorts, showing a shadowed figure hunched over a glowing desk, writing as cracks tear through the space around them. Reality itself seems to shatter, past and future colliding in a spiral of chaos. The moment you act on knowledge of the future, Leto explains, you're creating a paradox. The future becomes the past becomes the future, over and over. Until reality breaks completely. His words are heavy, his tone grave. And when that happens, the world doesn't just bend. It collapses. Ian sits frozen, a faint bead of sweat sliding down his temple. His golden eyes widen as the enormity of it hits him. So, what you're saying is? Leto cuts him off quietly. Yes. If you keep trying to change what's meant to happen. He looks him dead in the eye. You could become the very thing that destroys this world. The words echo in Ian's head like a curse. He stares at the invisible letter in his hand, the glowing symbols flickering faintly, almost mocking him. In other words, he thinks numbly, just knowing the future makes me a potential disaster. He sits in stunned silence, his heartbeat pounding in his ears. Across from him, Leto takes a casual sip of his drink, unbothered by the weight of his own revelation. It's possible, he says simply. That's why I'm warning you. Be careful. Then, with a smirk, he adds dryly, though since you don't seem to care about dying, I guess that's not really a problem for you. Ian doesn't laugh. He just stares down at the flickering letter, its ancient script swirling in patterns he can't fully read. Even if this thing was meant to help me, if I make the wrong move, I could destroy everything. His chest tightens with bitter realization. I'm just some countryside noble, he mutters under his breath, the words dripping with irony. The glow around him intensifies as frustration and helplessness swirl together. So how am I supposed to handle all of this by myself? He clenches his fist, the letter flickering in his grip as his emotions surge. What should I do from this point on? He rises abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor, hand reaching out towards something unseen, something just beyond his grasp. The light around him flickers, pulsing violently as his thoughts spiral. And then, a sharp voice cuts through the tension like a blade. A sharp voice cuts through the air. Hey, you! Ian looks up, startled. A shadow descends from above, landing gracefully on the cobblestone path with a soft thump. The figure straightens, tall, commanding, and unmistakably furious. Elsie Rinella. Her black witch's hat tilts slightly as she steps forward, blue eyes blazing like lightning. You're the one who beat up my little brother, aren't you? Ian freezes, his stomach dropping. Every instinct screams run, but his body refuses to move. She takes another step, then another. Each footfall echoes across the courtyard, heavy and deliberate, a faint magical shimmer coiling around her like heat. Ian's face goes pale. He recognizes her instantly. Lupin's sister. And not just any sibling, a faction leader. One of the most powerful in the entire academy. Around her, several students appear, her followers. Each one glares at Ian with open hostility, their magic faintly sparking in the air. He's surrounded. Across the courtyard, Lupin, still bandaged from his last encounter, stares in horror. Sis, why not here to take revenge, are you? He stammers, voice trembling. Elsie doesn't even glance at him. She just mutters, pathetic, before turning her piercing gaze back to Ian. Her aura swells, dark blue magic radiating from her in waves. Ian can practically feel the air tighten around him. Did you really think, she says coldly, that the Rinella family would just let that slide? A bold text flashes across the scene. Elsie Rinella, leader of the Rinella faction. One of the Academy's two great powers. Ian rubs a hand over his face, groaning. Seriously, he mutters under his breath. Even after the Saintess tried to calm things down, he still sent his sister after me. He sighs in defeat, shoulders slumping. Great. I'm done for. He decides, half jokingly, half serious, that maybe it's better to just let them beat him up and get it over with. Meanwhile, Lupin frantically waves his hands. Wait, sis. You don't understand. That guy, he's dangerous. Elsie frowns, her lip curling in disgust. Dangerous, she scoffs. You're the one shaking like a leaf. She raises her staff, magical light beginning to spiral around the tip. Ian braces himself, every muscle tensing. Here it comes. But before the spell can fire, a voice slices through the tension. Enough. The air itself trembles. A gust of wind whips across the courtyard as a new figure approaches, her golden aura radiating authority. Long blonde hair gleams under the sunlight, her steps measured, confident, unstoppable. Delphine Yordina. Her presence alone is enough to make the gathered students flinch. She extends one regal hand, golden light rippling through the air like the rings of a crown. Elsie turns sharply, momentarily taken aback. Delphine, she mutters, her composure faltering. Delphine walks right past Ian and the fallen Lupin without a glance. Her attention is fixed solely on Elsie. Why are you fighting in front of the students? Delphine asks, her tone dripping with disdain. It's an eyesore. Elsie's eyes narrow. That's my line. The tension crackles between them, their auras clashing, blue against gold, heat against light. Delphine's glare sharpens. You're in the way, she says coldly. Step aside. When Elsie doesn't move, Delphine's words turn razor-sharp. Then shut up, she says, her voice low and cutting. Shut up, and go somewhere else. The crowd goes silent. The golden aura around Delphine surges, radiating raw power that ripples through the courtyard like a storm about to break. Ian can only stare, half awestruck, half terrified. In that moment, watching Delphine stand toe-to-toe with one of the Academy's strongest leaders, he realizes just how enormous the gap between them truly is. He realizes this is the first time he's been this close to her. Her presence radiates power, something that commands attention. For a moment, he's caught in that aura, unsure of what to do next. Since she's Syria's sister, maybe he could start a conversation, but the thought fades quickly. Getting tangled with nobles of her level? Never a good idea. He decides to slip away quietly. But before he can move, her voice slices through the air, sharp, cold, and impossible to ignore. Where do you think you're going? Delphine turns just enough for her piercing gaze to lock onto him. A faint, mocking smile forms on her lips. Were you planning to run? Caught off guard, Ian stammers, No, I wouldn't dare. His grip tightens around his sword. I really don't want to fight, he exhales heavily, and something in his eyes changes, hesitation giving way to determination. Then it hits him. Wait, maybe this could work. A new plan flickers to life in his mind. Elsie watches him with an amused smirk before turning to Delphine. I like that guy, she says casually. Take your time. I don't mind waiting if you want to play with him first. Her words drip with arrogance, a deliberate taunt. Delphine's face darkens, her voice low and dangerous. What exactly do you think you're doing? Especially after what you did to my sister? The meaning is clear, she knows about the cruelty Syria endured. The tension explodes like lightning. Cracks split the ground as her energy surges. The air trembles. A burst of blood stains the scene, a glimpse of just how deadly she can be. Elsie flinches. For once, fear flashes across her face. Delphine moves, fast, impossibly fast, appearing behind her in an instant. Elsie's breath catches, panic setting in. Delphine's eyes blaze, cold and merciless. Say whatever you want about me, she says, voice like ice. But you will not involve Syria. Her gaze hardens. Tell me, how do you plan to pay the price for that? Her words echo like thunder. Elsie's bravado vanishes. She stares in disbelief, until she realizes Ian is moving toward her. He's actually attacking. With a sudden burst of energy, Ian lashes out, his kick sending a shockwave that cracks Elsie's magical barrier. He doesn't stop, his next strike, a punch glowing with red-hot energy, smashes through her shimmering blue shield. It shatters into fragments of light before she's blasted backward, blood scattering through the air. Delphine's expression darkens further. You bastard, she growls. She lunges forward, her speed explosive. But Ian's eyes ignite, gold and fierce, as the markings of his other self crawl across his face. His power spikes to its peak. He moves like a storm, launching a barrage of glowing blue strikes, each hit fast and precise. The air trembles from the force of his assault as Delphine braces herself, standing firm amid the whirlwind of power erupting before her. Delphine's aura shifts, deep crimson light floods around her as she raises her sword. Her tone is cold and sharp. Too slow. Her blade meets his strike effortlessly, deflecting it with a single motion. Then, in a blur of red light, she counters, a crushing blow that sends Ian hurtling through the air. He crashes to the ground, the impact echoing through the arena. Dazed and breathless, he forces himself up, vision spinning. Above him, Delphine stands tall, her shadow looming like a storm. Around them, the other students remain scattered, proof of just how outmatched they are. From the sidelines, Sean watches in silence. His golden eyes widen. For the first time, he truly sees the gulf between them. Delphine's power swells again. Blue energy coils around her like a living storm before she releases it in a devastating wave. The ground splits apart, shockwaves rippling through the air. She lowers her hand, eyes cold and voice almost amused. "Good," she says softly. "This is how it should be." Elsie, still catching her breath, glances at Ian with a hint of respect she hadn't shown before. "Let's finish this, fair and square." Ian wipes the blood from his lip and smirks. His golden eyes burn with light. "The small fry are already dealt with," he says calmly. "Now it's just you and me." Elsie stares at him, disbelief flashing across her face. "You've lost your mind," she snaps. "You really think you can win?" Ian's voice cuts through the tension, firm and defiant. "You don't know until you try." A close-up shows his eyes, steady, glowing gold, filled with unshakable resolve. Elsie lifts her hand, magic surging violently. A beam of power explodes toward him, tearing the air apart. Ian meets it head-on, his sword blazing with energy. Their clash erupts in a shockwave that shakes the ground. More blasts follow, red bursts of magic raining down on him like meteors. Ian holds his ground, a shimmering blue aura enveloping his body. Each hit detonates with thunderous force, yet he doesn't falter. Elsie watches, faint surprise flickering in her expression. "You're stronger than I thought," she admits. "Maybe, you really could break my shield." Ian's eyes glow crimson now, his voice steady. "Let's find out how long it'll last." Their battle intensifies. Energy floods the field, blue and red colliding in waves of destruction. The air twists under the pressure of their powers. Elsie narrows her eyes, confidence burning bright. "You're delusional," she says with a smirk. "If you think you can actually break it." She pauses, her gaze sharp as she studies him. "Your opening strikes weren't bad. And I'll give you credit, taking down my followers wasn't easy." Her expression hardens. "But someone like you, stuck in third gear, could never defeat me." Ian meets her glare without flinching. His aura flares, red light pulsing violently around him as his power climbs higher. His golden eyes blaze with a fierce, almost dangerous intensity. Elsie braces herself, but Ian's power keeps climbing, raw and unrestrained. Her shield trembles under the crushing force. A gasp escapes her, followed by a growl of frustration as she struggles to hold her ground. "You, little," she mutters, eyes wide in disbelief. Ian's evil spirit form ignites fully. His eyes blaze with a sinister glow as he charges forward, red energy crackling around him. His blade slashes through the air, cutting against her defense. "Still so confident, heh?" he sneers, voice low and mocking. His sword rises high, aura pulsing like fire. "Let's see if you're still talking when that shield of yours shatters." The next strike hits like thunder. The ground shakes as the impact ripples outward, cracks spiderweb across her barrier. "When your shield breaks," he roars, "don't say I didn't warn you." The blue wall around her fractures, splintering under his relentless pressure. Elsie's expression twists between pain and shock. "Don't make me laugh," she shouts, forcing a defiant grin. "I'm one of the best mags in this academy." Ian doesn't slow down. He drives forward, each hit heavier than the last. "She really thinks this flimsy barrier can stop me?" he thinks, pushing harder. Elsie, cornered, throws everything she has into one final spell. Her eyes flash bright blue as a massive wave of force explodes outward, shaking the field. Students nearby scramble to escape the chaos. The blast hits Ian head-on, but his power only grows. The red aura surrounding him rages like wildfire, devouring her attack. Elsie's voice breaks. "Please, stop," she cries, tears streaking down her face. "Someone help me." Ian's eyes narrow, glowing crimson. "What's wrong?" he asks coldly. "Weren't you the one who said I was beneath you?" She trembles, whispering, "You're terrifying." His voice drops, calm but chilling. You should have thought about that before starting this. Dark energy swirls around him as he lowers his weapon. Death is part of any fight fought with honor, he says. Elsie flinches, retreating as his presence looms over her. Then, slowly, the red aura fades. Ian slides his weapon back into place. I'll let you off this time, he says flatly. Next time, you won't be so lucky. He turns and walks away, his steps echoing across the silent field. Behind him, a voice calls out. Hey! He glances back. Delphine stands there, a faint, curious smile on her face. Could I have some of your time? She asks smoothly. There's something I'd like to discuss. The camera pans upward. The Academy clock tower looms above, its bells silent, the sunlight glinting off its stone. The Grand Academy stands tall in the distance, watching silently over the clash of power and pride beneath it. Leto appears beside Ian, grinning. So you're the one Delphine was talking to, he jokes. Didn't expect the infamous axe-wielding murderer to be you. Ian exhales, clearly too tired for this. Seriously, he mutters, running a hand through his hair. Leto just laughs. Come on, don't give me that look. Ian turns toward him, golden eyes gleaming faintly. Want to find out what fear really feels like? He asks, half teasing, half serious. Leto doesn't even flinch. Man, you're way cooler when you go all out, he says with a grin. Then his tone shifts, more thoughtful. I heard rumors about you and Delphine. Ian nods slowly. Yeah. It just happened that way. Leto leans closer. So? What did she want? No idea, Ian replies. She just asked to meet tonight. His tone says everything, he's not thrilled about it. Getting tangled with the Yordina family isn't something he plans to enjoy. Leto changes the subject, his tone more serious now. So, did you ever find out who's behind all that harassment? That's actually why I came to see you, Ian replies, pulling a folded piece of paper from his pocket. Read this. Leto unfolds it, scanning the page carefully. His brows knit together as he reads. Heh, he murmurs, deep in thought. Then he looks up, eyes narrowing slightly. Didn't expect you to be this calm about it. Ian shrugs. I just am. He explains that before, they only had fragments, a few scattered clues. But once he thought about why everything started, the answer became obvious. Leto studies him, then smirks knowingly. So the info I gave you confirmed it, here. Yeah, Ian says quietly. Exactly. Leto leans back. Then what's next? Ian's expression hardens. His golden eyes flash with resolve. First, he says, I'm going to meet the person responsible. His tone turns cold. What happens after that depends on their answer. The scene fades, the chaos of battle replaced by calm birdsong and rustling leaves. A peaceful forest clearing. Syria sits alone on a mossy rock, her head bowed. The late afternoon light filters softly through the trees. In her hands, she clutches a small piece of paper, the latest report on the Rinella incident. Senior Ian, she whispers. Her voice trembles slightly. He fought for me again. She stares at the letter, guilt and gratitude mixing in her chest. Else's attack, all of it, had only happened because he stood up for her. I thought I could handle things myself, she sighs, her voice barely above a whisper. But in the end, he saved me again. Her independence and pride weigh heavily against her helplessness. Then, a familiar voice breaks the silence. Why do you look so down? She jumps, startled. Senior Ian. He chuckles lightly as she quickly wipes her eyes, trying to compose herself. Well, she stammers, looking away. It's nothing. Her gaze drifts back toward him, hesitant. About the other day, she says quietly. I'm sorry. For everything. Especially how I treated Celine. Ian smiles, his tone warm and reassuring. Hey, don't worry about it. I'm not mad. But Syria's eyes drop again. It's just, every time, I end up doing nothing while you keep helping me. Her hands tighten around the paper. Even this time, you fought for me. And even Senior Elsie got dragged into it. Ian smiles softly. I'm fine, he says. So it's okay to rely on me sometimes. He glances out toward the trees, their leaves swaying gently in the wind. When one of us is in trouble, he says, we should count on each other. Next time, maybe you'll be the one helping me. Syria looks up at him, eyes wide, a quiet understanding settling between them. I see, she murmurs. Her cheeks warm to a deep pink. She fidgets, looking away shyly before turning back, voice barely audible. Then, she hesitates, her hands trembling slightly. Can I hug you? Ian freezes, completely blindsided. Hey! His eyes widen in disbelief, jaw half open. Syria can't even look at him, her face burning bright red as she waits, flustered and nervous. The forest falls silent again, the moment hanging, soft and uncertain, as Ian tries to process what just happened. Ian blinks in surprise, completely caught off guard. Wait, hold on, he stammers, frozen. Before he can even react, Syria suddenly steps forward and wraps her arms around him, pressing her face against his chest. Her embrace is tight, trembling with emotion. Ian goes stiff, eyes wide. What's happening? What do I do with my hands? His thoughts race in panic. He awkwardly tries to pull back. Syria, But before he can finish, he feels her shoulders shake. Tears stream down her cheeks as she clings to him, voice muffled against his chest. My mother used to hug me when I cried, she whispers. The words tremble. When I felt scared or weak, she'd hold me just like this. The memory breaks through her composure, and another quiet sob escapes her. Ian's panic softens. His voice gentles. Did I do something wrong? She shakes her head frantically. And no, it's not that. She wipes her face, flustered, her cheeks flush deep red. I just felt like I needed this. Her breathing slows as she calms herself. She keeps her eyes closed for a moment longer, her expression soft and peaceful. Then, suddenly, her eyes snap open. She gasps, pulling back. Look! She points toward a small bloom growing beside the rock, a delicate blue flower glowing faintly in the sunlight. A Syria flower, here, she exclaims. That's strange, they only bloom up north. Ian repeats the name under his breath. Syria? His golden eyes widen slightly. A flicker of recognition. Wait. Syria. The letters from the future, every single one signed under that name. How could I have forgotten? He looks at Syria, curiosity tightening in his chest. Do you like that flower? He asks carefully. Syria smiles, her face lighting up with warmth. Ham. My mother loved it. So, I do too. Ian's expression hardens with thought. The pieces start falling into place, her connection to the flower, the tone of those letters, the gentle handwriting, the personal warmth that had always felt familiar. Could it be her? His mind flashes through memory after memory, Syria's smile, her words, and those mysterious letters that spoke of a shared future. Is Syria? The realization hits him like a thunderclap.